Almost 2 years ago, the widow of rapper MF Doom, Jasmine, first revealed the cause of her husband's death. He passed away in October 2020 at the age of 49. Until that moment, the cause of the hip-hop legend's death had been kept secret. As you may remember, even the news of the musician's death was a mystery to his fans. It wasn't announced until 2 months after the actual date of his passing. It turned out that Daniel Dumile Thompson, MF Doom's real name, passed away while being treated at a hospital in Leeds. He had a rare, severe reaction to a blood pressure medication prescribed to him during his stay at the clinic. According to the rapper's widow, MF Doom was in good physical shape but suffered from several health problems, including kidney disease. This led to weight gain and increased anxiety. Doctors prescribed the musician a new medication, but after 2 doses, Thompson experienced breathing difficulties. Jasmine stated that his tongue and throat began to swell. MF Doom sought emergency help, but when his condition worsened, he could not reach the call button in his room. The rapper called his wife, who, without hanging up, dialed the number of the on-duty nurse from another phone. A few days later, the artist passed away. There are many rappers about whom you can say they changed hip-hop forever. Big Daddy Kane, Tupac, Rakim, Biggie, Eminem, the list could go on forever. But among them, one name stands out: Daniel Dumile, better known as MF Doom. He was truly the Dr. Doom of the hip-hop world, a supervillain and a superhero at the same time, who always remained behind the scenes but created music that influenced everyone. It's no surprise that nearly every article about him uses the well-worn yet undeniably true phrase, "your favorite rapper's favorite rapper." But why is that? Let's try to figure it out. Let's begin. MF Doom always avoided media attention. He took his pseudonym from Dr. Doom of Fantastic Four, wore a similar mask, and, like a true villain, rarely emerged from his lair. He even sent lookalikes to perform at his own concerts. His story is like a comic book plot: his brother's death, a label's refusal to release their completed KMD group album due to its dark cover, a 5-year break from music, poverty, and a return with a new alias. And as it turned out, he passed away just as quietly. MF Doom was mentioned more in celebrity conversations than in headlines about them. Childish Gambino quoted him, Drake showed him respect, and at one of his rare live performances he met Tyler the Creator, marking the best day in the future Grammy winner's life. In MF Doom's case, the cliché, "your favorite rapper's favorite rapper," was fully justified.
Word. Y'all niggas is ill too, man. You guys are wild. You know what I mean? Not as wild as y'all niggas. I'm trying to keep up.
MF Doom was a brilliant rapper, capable of rhyming anything possible, and even the impossible.
Burnt it to a sender. Gotta get the party kicking, plus your little charred body.
MF Doom created his own world. He rapped from the perspective of the tyrant Dr. Doom and his henchman Victor, wrote the album MM Food filled with food symbolism and references, invented the alter ego King Ghidorah, the three-headed dragon from the Godzilla series, and composed an album from his perspective. He could weave references to Hitchcock and Shakespeare into a single quatrain.
Only God is judge, never plead a case, always aware of the truth, we can never...
MF Doom had an uneven discography, but he recorded an album that is considered a masterpiece. In 2004, the rap nerd met the producer nerd Madlib, and Mad Villainy was born. The peak of their creative synergy, where track after track MF Doom immerses himself in a world of rhymes and meanings, while Madlib crafts a soundtrack of bizarre samples and cartoon snippets.
The rest is empty with no brain, but the clever nerd, the best MC with no chain.
We'll talk about this legendary album a bit later, but for now, let's discuss the track we just showed. Otherwise, it's impossible to understand why MF Doom is, as many say, your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. The track Figaro provides a great example of his technique. MF Doom had an incredibly free-flowing style. He syncopated, swung his delivery, and moved effortlessly across beats. This significantly influenced his rhyming. Efficient use of bar space and complete control over rhyme placement allowed him to put rhymes in the most unexpected places, where, by the unwritten rules of rap, they shouldn't be. For example, in the first line it seems like the bar should end on skills, because MF Doom initially emphasizes the first purple rhyme group, but suddenly he syncopates the next rhyming word, close, from the second orange group, closing the bar with it. and throughout the excerpt the second rhyme group is emphasized, ultimately taking up the majority of the lyrics. One could say that MF Doom used the American tariff a reference to the early 20th century Russian poet Vladimir Mayakovsky. MF Doom's rhymes were short, only one syllable long, but the high concentration of them compensated for their brevity. As a result, out of 37 syllables in the excerpt, 27 are rhymed. That's 73% of the text. In terms of rhyme placement, we can highlight the second group, which uses the technique of echo rhyme. In hip-hop terms, this means two stressed rhyming syllables appearing back-to-back without a gap. After such an in-depth analysis, it's impossible to argue that MF Doom was a truly brilliant artist who paid great attention to the technical aspect of rapping, something many could learn from. MF Doom's vocabulary is one of the largest among hip-hop artists.
Stage made of panties, from the age of baby hoochies on to the grannies, ban me the dough rate.
Let's quickly look at another cool track from Mad Villainy called Accordion.
Living off borrowed time, the clock ticks faster. That'll be the hour they knock the slick blaster.
The first excerpt contains 45 syllables, 19 of which are rhymed. 42% of the text, a good result. In the second excerpt, MF Doom starts packing the text with rhymes. Out of 37 syllables, 23 are rhymed, giving a percentage of 62%, one of the highest among rappers. For comparison, the first verse of Eminem's Rap God is 61% rhymed.
Feeling a mixture between both with a twist of liquor, chasing with more beer, tasting like truth for dear.
Here's what the artist himself had to say about how he writes his tracks.
You want to keep the story interesting. As soon as somebody thinks they know what you're going to say, leave one word blank, knowing that the listener is following along and will fill in that blank, but always put the word that you would least expect, but it still makes sense in another way. You know, it's almost like keeping a good conversation with the listener.
MF Doom was one of the most mysterious and at the same time revered figures in the American underground. Back in 1988, along with his brother DJ Subrock and Onyx the Birthstone Kid, he founded the group KMD, performing under the name Zev Love X. They secured a contract with Elektra and released the album Mr. Hood in 1991. However, in 1993, DJ Subrock was hit by a car and killed. The label immediately dropped the group, and Daniel fell into a deep depression for several years. Even before the tragedy, amid the group's success, the brothers decided to start working on their second album, Black Bastards. Daniel continued working on Black Bastards even after his brother's death, and by 1994 the album was nearly complete. A release date was announced, along with the cover art which depicted a caricature of a hanged Sambo. Everything would have been fine, but one of the copies of the cover fell into the hands of Terry Rossi, a journalist from Billboard magazine. She sharply condemned both the cover and the Elektra label. Fearing a scandal, the label decided to part ways with Dumil. Furious with the entire music industry, Daniel withdrew into the shadows. In 1997, Dumil began freestyling incognito at open mic events at Nuyorican Poets Cafe in Manhattan, covering his face with pantyhose over his head. Dumil created a new alter ego, Meth Doom. According to the musician, Meth Doom embodies the essence of all villains while also parodying them all. MF stands for Metal Face, and Doom is both a reference to Dr. Doom from Marvel Comics and a shortened version of his surname, which his mother used to call him as a child. In 1999, his debut album Operation Doomsday was released on Fondler M Records. The release didn't generate much money, but became a cult classic among the underground audience.
I used to cop a lot, but never cop no drop. Hold mics like ponytails tight and bobble up.
Later, graffiti artist Lord Scotch designed a mask for him. Initially, they wanted to use a Darth Maul mask from Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace, painted silver, but later decided to base it on the mask from Gladiator. Doom was very protective of his anonymity and disliked talking about his personal life in interviews. In 2004, he explained why he wore the mask. His words, quote, "As far as I'm concerned, hip-hop is moving in a direction where it's almost 100% about everything except the music itself. How you look, how your name sounds, what you wear, which brands, what substances you use, everything except the actual sound of the music. With the mask, I'm saying, hey, this isn't about that. It should be about what you record."
Yeah, the whole mask thing, really, it's a time in hip-hop where things, from my point of view, started going more to what things look like opposed to what things sound like. Don't matter what I look like, you know, it don't matter what the artist look like. It's more what the artists sound like.
In 2000, MF Doom recorded MF EP with Monster Grimm, and in 2003 he released as many as 3 records. The albums Vaudeville Villain and Take Me to Your Leader were released as solo projects under the pseudonyms Victor Vaughn and King Ghidorah, while Escape from Monster Island was recorded with the group Monster Island Czars.
Yo, dilapidated graphics scribed on the building. We prefer gas to textbooks, teachers and principals.
MF Doom released music on American labels and performed concerts in the United States, but he actually lived in London, where he was born, and never obtained United States citizenship. Since his childhood move, Doomil never had United States citizenship, which meant he couldn't leave the country. However, in 2010, believing that having a United States citizen wife and 5 children would be enough to return, he obtained a UK passport and traveled there on a concert tour. But when he tried to return in 2012, he found that customs officials wouldn't let him back in, to which the musician responded, "I'm done with the United States, it's not a problem." In 2015, he released the video A Villainous Adventure, in which he showed his new home in St. Lucia overlooking the bay. The video also featured him traveling by boat between St. Lucia and Cuba.
Beautiful weather, beautiful people.
Still, in the following year, 2004, the albums Venomous Villain and M Food were released, with the latter considered one of Doom's best releases to this day.
Could lead to getting teeth capped or even a reef from armed dudes on some brief crap.
This was his first work where he was both rapper and producer. The album's title is an anagram of his stage name and also reflects its main theme, food. The album is conceptual, but doesn't have a single storyline, as is often the case. Instead, each track plays around with the theme of food in some way, featuring supervillain films and generally amusing, interesting lyrics, which are worth analyzing on Genius. One of the most intriguing tracks on the album is Cookies, where MF Doom references various types of cookies. However, within the story about cookies, he also weaves in elements of his personal life.
Okay, honey, sweet dreams. Now it's time to get serious like pink creams. A metal handful.
Also, in 2004, he released a collaborative album with MF Grimm called Special Herbs and Spices, as well as a joint album with Madlib titled Mad Villainy. These releases caused such a surge in popularity that MF Doom outpaced many mainstream artists for a long time. Here we need to talk about the Mad Villainy project. Mad Villainy is not just non-commercial. It's an album with a clear underground stance, where the artist explicitly states that he has come to destroy rap forever. The key feature of MF Doom's stage persona became his metal mask, which he used to conceal his face during live performances and interviews. This distinctive accessory not only allowed MF Doom to create an entire universe in his work, where he played the role of a villain exposing the genre's sores, but also became a symbol of anonymity, inspiring underground artists worldwide. By the way, the artist also excelled in production. His musical style is distinguished by its experimental sound, which combines elements of jazz, funk, electronics, and hip-hop. His arrangements almost always use rare samples, allowing MF Doom to create unique and captivating soundscapes. However, despite his talent in beatmaking, he was not responsible for the instrumental side of Mad Villainy. Madlib, one of the most talented and revered producers in hip-hop, is known for production that remains a hallmark of quality among devoted fans of the culture. His work can be heard on albums by Freddie Gibbs, Talib Kweli, and even Erykah Badu. He also collaborated with another equally significant producer in beatmaking, j-Dilla. Mad Villainy became a turning point in underground rap, gaining widespread attention without conforming to commercial standards. Tracks like All Caps and Accordion captivated listeners, while MF Doom's twisted flow on Meat Grinder and Curls mesmerized underground fans, turning the album into a legend and its creator into the greatest villain to ever take the mic.
Soft, sweet minor. China was a neat sign of trouble with the script digits double dip.
It feels like I just recorded it, said MF Doom in an interview with Spin in 2019. I would do it exactly the same way now if I had the same beats. I don't listen to this album all the time, but maybe once every 2 years I turn it on or randomly come across an instrumental. As soon as I hear the beat, all the lyrics immediately come back to my memory. Mad Villainy is considered one of the greatest rap albums of all time. In a 2011 interview with Ego Trip, album cover artist and longtime Stones Throw Records art director Jeff Jank revealed that the orange square in the upper right corner of the iconic Mad Villainy cover was partially inspired by Madonna's debut album. It's just my little inside joke. The black and white photo of MF Doom reminded me in some way of Madonna's first album cover, where she is also in black and white. It had Madonna written on it, and the O was orange, Jank recalled. I looked at these two covers side by side and laughed, like it was a rap version of Beauty and the Beast, so I added that orange corner, partially because the cover needed some distinctive detail, and partially to match Madonna's color. In a 2015 interview with Red Bull, Jank added, "I wanted to make a simple, pop-art style cover with a face. I don't think of it as a mask. To me, it's a person. He also noted that he was inspired by the 1969 King Crimson album cover, In the Court of the Crimson King. The only vocal contribution on Mad Villainy that is not rap belongs to Stacey Epps. She performed the song I. Epps shared on her social media that she was simply riding in a car with MF Doom, Madlib, and John Robinson in Atlanta when they were listening to beats. MF Doom asked if she wanted to sing on a track. Later, Epps studied law in Los Angeles around the same time Madlib lived there, and eventually she began representing them as a lawyer. In 2002, Mad Villainy became one of the first major underground rap albums to leak online when platforms like Napster were just starting to gain popularity. The identity of the person who leaked the album was never established, but it is known that it appeared on the internet shortly after Madlib flew to Brazil and recorded 15 demo tracks onto a disc to listen to during the flight. Everyone at the label was furious, but in hindsight some believe that the leak only increased the album's popularity. Mad Villainy was leaked in the loudest way, but it didn't kill the project. On the contrary, it only made it bigger, said Egon Alapat, who worked at Stone's Throw Records at the time. Madlib is known for his masterful sampling, and in the intro of Mad Villainy, he outdid himself. In a single track, he used sound effects from 7 horror films, including Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Dracula, and Ghost of Frankenstein. Last year, Complex requested exclusive data from Spotify and found that Mad Villainy has been steadily gaining popularity on streaming services. Since 2009, when Spotify launched, the album's streams have grown by an average of 73% per year. This proves that classic music can truly live forever. This album is the quintessence of its creator's creative potential. MF Doom constantly experimenting with flow and lyricism, and Madlib digging through vinyl records for hours in search of the most interesting ones, were united by only one goal: to push the boundaries of an already explored genre. This is partly what was meant by the aggressive passage about killing rap.
Having me, then he told the people, you can call me your majesty, keep your battery charged.
It's no coincidence that Tyler, the Creator, one of the most popular hip-hop and R&B artists today, has highlighted Mad Villainy, one of his favorite albums. This release gave underground and experimental artists the belief that they would someday be heard, and as a result, it inspired many interesting projects.
I used to cop a lot, but never cop no drop. Hold mics like ponytails tight and bob.
In 2005, musician Damon Albarn, one of the main members of Gorillaz, invited Dumial to collaborate on a track for the new Gorillaz album Demon Days. MF Doom agreed and participated in recording the song November Has Come, produced by Danger Mouse.
Slow it down some, no split, clown bum, your gold hit sound dumb, hold it now.
That same year, Dumial released the album Danger Doom with Danger Mouse and began working on his next solo album. Born Like This was released in 2009 and once again received critical acclaim. In 2019, he teamed up with the group Czarface for the release of Czarface Meets Metal Face.
Legitimize living lies, channel the cosmos, these God flows here to civilize.
The life and artistic career of MF Doom is filled with oddities. Even his love for geek culture, which seems so distant from hip-hop, played an important role and made him one of the most significant rappers of the early new millennium. Dumial frequently used stand-ins and actors to perform concerts in his place, and due to his signature mask, the real Doom could only be identified by voice. MF Doom was repeatedly spotted using doubles at concerts in Los Angeles, Chicago, London, and San Francisco.
I am the super motherfucking villain. I'm sure y'all know that though, right? It's really me. It's really me. Yo, I'm Will Still.
In his work, the artist indeed had plenty of alter egos, so in a way, duplicates wouldn't have been a problem for him. We've already told you about the first one, MF Doom. The second alter ego is King Ghidorah, an interdimensional alien being. He looks like a 100-meter tall golden dragon with 3 heads. This reptile serves as a sort of guide for MF Doom. The two communicate telepathically. King Ghidorah gives directions, and MF Doom brings them to life. The prototypes for this alter ego are King Ghidorah and Godzilla. The third is Victor Vaughn, a young guy around 18 years old, a time traveler, rapper, and scientist. He believes he knows everything but takes inspiration from MF Doom. In Victor's universe, rap is banned, so he travels through space and decides to stop on Earth to spread his art. Later, his time machine breaks down and the scientist is forced to stay on Earth. Vic travels to open mic parties where he showcases his rapping skills to the public. By the way, the character is named after Dr. Doom from Marvel Comics, Dr. Victor Von Doom.
Saw V on TV, said she need a sweetie. Heard he was the type to do her name.
The fourth is Metal Fingers, a beat maker and producer. The MF tag has different meanings in production and recording. This persona appears in his own production and beat making. The primary period of activity was 2001-2006. Almost every track is named after some kind of plant. Here's how the artist himself explained the reason behind having so many personas. Quote, "I see it this way. I'm a writer. It just so happens that I write in a rhythmic form and all of it is set to music. So, to explain different moments, I have to do exactly what book authors do. I get into the skin of different characters. Accordingly, the author writes from the perspective of each character he creates, but he himself is not them. It's the same thing in hip-hop. We're too self-conscious, and I think we limit ourselves with the approach of, I'm the guy, and the attitude that comes with it. I am one thing, you are another. In hip-hop, you're the guy, but that's too much responsibility. You don't want to be that guy. My villain is a dude who's bigger than me personally. He can do things that I myself am incapable of doing. So, if hip-hop is about bragging and boasting, then I'm going to create the sickest character. He can boast about all kinds of shit, operating with the mindset of why not? It's all your imagination, right? Then go as far as you want. That's how it is here. If there's room for something like this, then I can create multiple corresponding personas who can even have opposite perspectives.
The idea of having different characters to, different characters, really just to get the storyline across, Coming from one particular character all the time makes, to me, the story boring. I get that mainly from like novels and that style of writing, or movies, where there's multiple characters to carry the storyline. It all might be written by one writer, or directed by one director, but there's multiple characters in order to, you need it, So the more the better with me. This way, I could come from one point of view, another point of view. They might even disagree on certain things. I think a lot of times in hip hop, especially, artists get kind of pigeonholed into being like, if you're the guy, and that's it's kind of limiting in a way. So I look at it like, I'm a writer, like the same way with the skits.
Aside from music, he collaborated with the Adult Swim channel, participating in voice acting for animated series. He was also involved in creating sneakers dedicated to him. He released the Nike SB Dunk High MF Doom sneakers with Nike and 2 pairs of Clark's Wallaby boots with Clark's Originals. In 2017, one of MF Doom's 5 sons passed away. The cause of death is still unknown. But if you think the artist's mysteries ended with his death, you'd be wrong. Even after his passing, an aura of mystery still surrounds the musician. After his death in 2021, streams of his songs increased by 870% according to Billboard. Streams of the album Mad Villainy alone increased by 81%. Between December 31 and January 5, 2021, MF Doom's songs were played 25 million times. The week before, his tracks had 2.6 million streams, meaning an almost tenfold increase. Digital purchases also surged. His songs were bought 5,000 times in digital stores and his albums 4,000 times. The increase was an impressive 2,900% and 12,064% respectively. Streams of Doom's solo songs grew by 921%. In October 2023, it was revealed that a court case over MF Doom's notebooks would take place. Pitchfork reported that the musician's widow filed a lawsuit in a California district court against his former manager, Egon Alapat, who allegedly took possession of 31 notebooks that MF Doom had stored in his studio. The lawsuit alleges fraud, copyright infringement, and unjust enrichment. The plaintiffs claim they own the rights to the 31 notebooks belonging to the late rapper, which Egon Alapat took. In these notebooks, Doom wrote his lyrics, recorded lines and ideas, and made sketches. The plaintiffs consider this Doom's intellectual property. The plaintiffs demanded the return of the notebooks, the destruction of all copies, and prevention of their unauthorized public distribution. They believe Alapat profited financially from possessing the notebooks and demanded compensation. Doom and Alapat met when the latter was the general manager of Stone's Throw Records. Allapat connected MF Doom and Madlib, leading to the creation of the album Mad Villainy. In 2009, Doom was a guest at Allapat's wedding. The lawsuit states that MF Doom's notes were kept in his studio in Los Angeles. In 2016, he was unable to re-enter the US after a trip to the UK due to immigration law issues. Allapat took possession of the notebooks. Allapat's lawyer outlined his stance in a letter, quoting, "Their client is looking forward to the trial to refute all unjust accusations. Allapat saved these notebooks because otherwise they might have been destroyed. The studio landlord took all of MF Doom's remaining belongings due to unpaid rent." With MF Doom's blessing, Allapat intended to donate these notebooks to the Smithsonian Library or Cornell Hip Hop Collection so that they would be preserved and studied, just like the original texts of great poets or the sheet music of great composers. Allapat will do everything possible to ensure that these historically significant records are preserved and protected. The plaintiffs provided email screenshots. In 2016, Doom wrote that he desperately needed those notebooks, and Allapat replied that the landlord had removed several dumpsters full of items from the studio. In 2017, MF Doom learned that Allapat had the notebooks. He asked for their return and promised to compensate for any expenses. Allapat also had issues with representatives of another late rap musician, j-dilla. In a 2021 interview, j-dilla's mother said Allapat made decisions that benefited him, not the musician, and his lawyer worked not for the artist, but against him. The issue concerned how j-dilla's song, "Workin' on It," was sold for use in Dave Chappelle's Netflix special. That's all for today. What do you think about MF Doom and his work? Write your opinions in the comments, like the video, and subscribe to the channel. See you all later.